Hi everybody, this is Scott Sharp with Fretboard Toolbox, and today we're going to look at improvising in the key of C major for beginners. It's always been a holy grail for me, and it's something that I constantly work on, and I'll show you how to get started with it, and hopefully by the end you'll be able to take these free jam tracks and start going to town a little bit. Let's get started and I'll show you how it works. Today we're going to use a Fretboard Toolbox Complete Guitar Book, and we're going to use the key of C major. The Fretboard Toolbox Complete Guitar Books come with all the major keys, all the relative minor keys, and all the blues keys. So we'll click on the key of C major today, and you're going to need to know the chords C major, D minor, we'll skip E minor, F major, G major, and A minor. And you're going to need to know the major scale notes, which is everything in white boxes. And you're going to need to know the major pentatonic notes, which is just the underlined notes. So C, D, E, G, A is your major pentatonic, and C, D, E, F, G, A, B is your C major scale. And then I've got a fretboard layout that shows you all those notes and where they're located. And these are the chord progressions we'll be improvising with today. And I'll show you how to get those on the free jam tracks here. So on the Fretboard Toolbox website, if you go to Tracks and Tab and you click on 200 free jam tracks, I've got jam tracks for all sorts of different keys, and lots of them, they're played at 4 different speeds each, and we'll be looking at this key of C major jam tracks today. And we'll just start with a straight up C major chord on guitar, and these are your notes that we're going to be using. So the major scale notes are all in white boxes, and the major pentatonics are underlined. And for each track, I'll start with just using the 1, 2, 3 notes, like Do, Re, Mi. So C, D, and E, and then we'll move to the major pentatonic, which is C, D, E, G, A, and then we'll start messing with the whole major scale, which is C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And I really want you to focus on these chord notes. So knowing which notes make up the chords is really, really beneficial for figuring out where to solo, because that's going to be your targeting notes. So for C major, it's going to be the notes C, E, and G. It's the notes that are in your 1, 3, 5 columns. And if it goes to an A minor, that would be A, C, and E. Minor chords are built out of the notes 1, flat 3, and 5. So I'll show you the notes to target, and we'll be able to see them all over the fretboard here, and hopefully we'll make some cool sounds. So let's start with this C major track here, and we'll just start with the notes C, D, and E. So I may play C, D, and this E, or I may play C, D, and this E. So we'll start with that, and then I'll start playing some major pentatonic, and then we'll play the whole major scale. And we'll run through several different chord progressions and see by the end if it makes some sense here for you. So here's just a straight C major, and I'll start with just the notes C, D, and E, like this. And it helps if you can slide or hammer on. Maybe a pull off. Now the major pentatonic. That was C, D, E, G, A, C, and then we can mess with the order. Or the whole C major scale. We can mess with the order. So that's just messing with the 1, 2, 3 notes, so C, D, E, and then we played some C major pentatonic, C, D, E, G, A, and then we played the whole C major scale. And the notes to target on that just C major chord would be C, E, and G. And so anytime like it kept going back to the C and I would hit a C note, or the G note sounded really good and the E note sounded really good, and then I used those other notes in white boxes to kind of tie it together. So let's look at what's called a 1-5-1 progression. So your 1 chord in C major is a C major, it's made of C, E, and G notes, and your 5 chord is a G major, made of G, B, and D notes. So now when it goes to the G chord, I want to focus on G, B, or D notes. So we'll start out again with just C, D, E. So I can focus on the C or E notes when it's on a C major, and then I could focus on the D note when it's on a G major. So let's listen to that, and then we'll mess with the major pentatonic and then the whole major scale. Now it's on a G, and that D sounds good. Now it's on the G, and the D sounds good. Now let's try the major pentatonic. Now let's try the whole C major scale. So the idea is not to play every note that I'm playing, it's to just kind of see a whole bunch of different ways that we can start moving around. And if you have trouble targeting those notes, the kind of target notes, then just play the C major pentatonic or just play the C major scale, and you'll start hearing like, oh, that sounds really good at this point. And even if you don't know exactly what you're doing, your brain is going to be picking up on all those things. So that's a 1-5-1 progression. Now let's play a 1-4-5 progression. So we've seen the C major. When it goes to the F major, we'll focus on F, A, C, F, A, or C. And then G major, we can focus on G, B, and D. So when we start out just playing C, D, E notes, notice that the C and E will sound good over a C major. The C is going to sound good over an F major. And then the D is going to sound really good over a G. So let's hear that. And we'll start with just those three. It's on the F, now it's going to go up to the G. Now it's on the F, on the G. Now the C major pentatonic. I'm on the A of the F chord. The whole C major scale. And let's do a little more C major scale there, the whole C major, and just messing around. Goes to the G. Now it's on the F. So the idea of this is for you to be able to, like, I would pause and just leave this fretboard up here and grab a different device and put on the jam tracks and just start making some safe places for you to mess around while those jam tracks are playing, and let your brain make some mistakes and make lots of mistakes, and you're going to hit lots of good notes and lots of bad notes, and those are all being recorded by your brain, so you just have to trust it. Let's look at a 1-5-4 here. So now we're going to go C major to G major to F. And so we'll get this started, and we'll start with just C, D, E again. Now it's on a G. Now it's on a F. G, F. Now the C major pentatonic. Let's do more pentatonic. Now the whole C major scale. So like I've been practicing this a lot, and you may already be able to play better than I can on it, but the idea is really powerful to be able to look at those target notes and to know what the target notes are, and then to find them when you're making your solos, and then that's how you can really hear those melodies start to come through. And as you start to mess with these scales, you'll be like, oh, that starts to sound like this song or that song, which is really powerful because that's when you can start figuring out songs on the fly, and that's always been my holy grail. So let's look at one or two more here. Here's a C, A minor, F, G. So we've already seen C major, F major, and G major, but the A minor is going to be A, C, and E notes. So now when I'm starting out and we just play that C, D, and E, watch how on the A minor, both C and E sound really good out of that little mini scale there, that 1, 2, 3 notes, or do, re, mi. So let's try that first, and then we'll do major pentatonic and then major scale. On the A minor. Now it's on the G. C major, A minor, here's the G. Now let's do major pentatonic. The A sounds good. C major scale. F, G major, So that's the idea is just putting on these jam tracks, and there's a lot slower speeds too, and you can really focus on hitting those target notes and just give yourself time to experiment. Like I set up this whole jam tracks thing to be kind of a laboratory for myself. I'm a science teacher, so that's how I think. Setting up this laboratory where I could see all these safe notes. I could know what notes make up the chord, and then I can see those chord progressions, and then start finding out where can I hit those target notes. And to get to the point where you can really make some cool improvising, you really need to know some of those things. Like so often it's like, okay, learn the C major pentatonic scale. It's like, okay, I did it, but it just doesn't sound great. Like I'm missing something, and so often it's because we're not hitting those target notes. So let's do one last one here, and then I'll show you how you can pick up a toolbox if it's something you're interested in. So here's a cool progression. It's a 1, 6, 2, 5, and so now we're gonna go to a D minor, and that's D, F, and A notes. And so when I play that little C, D, E scale, that mini scale, that D is gonna sound good over the D minor. And remember, C and E are going to sound good over A minor, and C and E are going to sound good over C minor, and then that D is going to sound really good over the G. So let's start with that. Here's C major, A minor, D minor, major pentatonic, now the whole major scale. And now let's do that same progression, but I'll just do kind of a freestyle. So I'll play it a little faster and just kind of go with whatever I'm feeling like. So that's the big idea. Again, you're just focusing on, instead of just playing a random C major pentatonic scale or a C major scale, you're focusing on what are those target notes, and then really listening for, oh, I see kind of how they're fitting into the chords there, and that's when the fun stuff starts happening. So if you'd like to learn more about fretboard toolboxes, if you go to the Fretboard Toolbox website and you go to pick your instrument, I've got books set up just alike for all these different instruments. Today we're looking at guitar, and I've got essential books and complete books, and that's the most common question I get asked, so be sure to read about those. And I've got print and ebook options, and you can see all my guitar videos and tools. And on any of my books, if you click look inside, you can download all the key of G major pages and the instructions for free. And if you poke around on the website, I've got all sorts of free tools to show you some like how to build scales and how to build chords and what chords fit together in different keys. I've got all these tracks and tabs to mess with, and fiddle tunes, and and how to pick melodies. And I've got a theory by hand book that shows like how to build all those scales on your hand. And I do lessons and all sorts of stuff. So anyways, I hope you found something useful today, and I'll be back on more Fretboard Fridays with more videos on more of my favorite instruments.